Pope Francis has died. That's come from the Vatican.
As he finally speaks up, Cardinal Peter Turkson's statements about Pope Francis are causing a lot of talks in the Catholic community. Many have been reminded about some rumors following the Ghanaian cardinal's claim after his long silence. His statement today sounds very different from his image of loyalty and calmness. Some speculate that this might indicate serious issues inside the church. His remarks reveal significant differences of opinion behind closed doors. Now, they want to know what was actually happening. Could this alter what we believe to be true about the church and the reign of Pope Francis? Join us in this video as we discuss the details. Pope Francis, who made history by becoming the very first pope from Latin America to lead the Roman Catholic Church, has now passed away. His death, which many had feared for quite some time due to his ongoing and worsening health issues, has finally happened. What had once been a worry said calmly by the side has now become a sad truth that cannot be ignored. Now that he is gone, the Vatican is facing not only a time of loss, but also a flow of different actions from people, developments no one saw coming, and serious emotional questions. What has added to this sense of complexity is something that was said by a key figure, Cardinal Peter Turkson. For a long time, Turkson had chosen to remain completely silent. He did not comment on any of the rumors. He did not respond to any of the official health updates. He did not offer even a word, not even when people begged for clarity. But now, suddenly, and without any warning, he has spoken. And the words he used have completely shocked those within the Vatican. Cardinal Peter Turkson, after remaining silent for so long, finally spoke publicly on the matter. His decision to do so was unexpected. For weeks, there had been speculation about his thoughts and feelings regarding Pope Francis's declining health. Some had even wondered if Turkson was simply waiting for the right moment to speak. Others felt that he might be too scared to voice his worries, knowing how serious the situation was. Yet, when he did speak, his words were not only shocking but also very clear. The statement was said in a quiet, almost somber tone. Turkson, standing before a small group of reporters, hesitated at first. There was a visible weight to his presence. It was as if he knew the gravity of the moment. He acknowledged the passing of Pope Francis with deep sadness, but his message went far beyond the surface level. What followed would leave many shocked and in doubt about the future of the Vatican. Turkson did not follow the normal script of praise and respect that many other church leaders had listened to. Instead, he talked about what he called the unanswered questions about the final days of Pope Francis. He spoke carefully but with a conviction that caught everyone off guard. The public has been given a version of events, he said, but that version does not reflect the reality I witnessed. He went on to explain that while many had been quick to offer their condolences and speak of the Pope's enduring spirit, there were aspects of the situation that needed to be addressed. Something needs to be said, Turkson went on. Things that the world must understand about what really happened. He did not explain what the items were right away. Rather, he stopped to let his comments reverberate around the room. The ensuing quiet was oppressive. Turkson's main claim was that the Vatican's way of managing Pope Francis's health was not clear enough. Reports of the Pope's bad health had been going around for months, but the public had not received any hard proof. The Pope was not in a position to make decisions, Turkson stated. And yet, decisions were being made on his behalf without his knowledge and in some cases without his consent. This comment was particularly startling because up until that moment, the Vatican had maintained that the Pope had been fully aware of the decisions being made about his health and care. Cardinal Turkson's opinion cast doubt on the level of the Vatican claims, and many began to think just how much of the official story was true. His words hint that there may have been a secret layer of challenges behind the Pope's illness, one that had not been made open to the public. At the very end, Turkson said the Pope's situation was more delicate than anyone truly understood. But it was not just his physical health that was suffering. His trust in those around him had also been broken. This comment was particularly startling because up until that moment, the Vatican had maintained that the Pope had been fully aware of the decisions being made about his health and care. As the world is faced with the loss of Pope Francis, the question arises: how will the Vatican direct the struggles of this big loss and what effect will his passing have on its future? Stay tuned for more. The Vatican is in a state of turmoil following the death of Pope Francis. Speaking out, Cardinal Peter Turkson has simply made matters more confusing and left more questions than answers. And it is obvious that the Church needs to face its own difficulties as the world still grieves the Pope's passing. Pope Francis' legacy is currently at a turning point. The destiny of the Church in the years to come will depend on the Vatican's decision and how it responds to the problems Turkson has raised. There are still sizable throngs at the Vatican itself. Throughout the day and night, individuals have been arriving. They slowly pass Pope Francis's coffin hour after hour. Some stop to pray. Others simply stand in silence, their eyes fixed on the coffin. There is a deep sense of loss in the air. By the beginning of the year 2025, the Pope's health was no longer something that could be ignored. It had become serious. It had become public. It had become something that many people both inside and outside the Vatican were paying attention to. For a long time before that, the Pope had continued with his duties even though it was clear he was in pain. His knees gave him trouble. He needed assistance when walking. He had undergone surgery. He often looked tired and weak. But even so, he kept working. He kept showing up. That all changed in February. Things became worse from February up until his death. During this period, there was allegedly a disarray within the Vatican. No explanation was given for this change. And in a place like the Vatican where secrecy is often expected, even this level of silence was unusual. Some described it as a lockdown. Others used the phrase, tight control. Journalists began to raise questions. Where is the Pope? Why hasn't he been seen? Is he truly improving? The Vatican kept giving the same answers. He is resting. He appreciates your prayers. But even the tone of these statements began to shift. Words like delicate condition and serious phase were used. The message was carefully crafted. But it did not offer the full truth. Within the church leadership, anxiety began to grow. For more than a decade, Pope Francis had built a reputation for being open, transparent, and close to the people. But in these final weeks, that openness vanished. Even his most trusted advisors were no longer included in key decisions. One of those advisors was Cardinal Peter Turkson. Turkson had been a major figure in the church for years. He was appointed in 2003 and later promoted under Pope Benedict. Known for his intelligence, diplomacy, and commitment to global justice, Turkson became one of Pope Francis's closest allies. He was given an important role in overseeing the Church's work on humanitarian issues. He became known for speaking on major global issues, such as poverty, climate change, and refugee rights. Many saw him as a possible future pope. But in 2021, he stepped down without much notice. The Vatican said it was a routine transition. But many wondered why such a trusted and respected figure had suddenly left. But what could possibly lead a highly respected Vatican figure to step down so suddenly, and why did it send quiet ripples through the Church and beyond? Let's find out. The leaders of the Roman Catholic Church went through a big change in 2021. Cardinal Peter Turkson, a popular and valued member of the international Catholic community, was part of this change. Born in Ghana, a country in West Africa, Cardinal Turkson has been known for long as one of the most powerful leaders in the Church. Many people, especially academics and religious onlookers, thought that because of his great leadership, too much knowledge, and a lot of trust for people, he might even become pope at some point. At the time he resigned, Cardinal Turkson was serving as the prefect of the dicastery for growing integral human development. Inside the Vatican, the Catholic Church's main government, this was a very big and important office. Pope Francis himself created the dicastery, which was tasked with sorting out a lot of matters that were of great importance to both the Church and the world. These covered issues like human rights, migration, justice, peace, and climate change. Additionally, it supported those who needed protection and assistance because they were poor, ill, disenfranchised, or in some other way. For around 5 years, Cardinal Turkson has presided over this dicastery, assisting in directing the Church's activities in these crucial areas. Many were therefore taken aback when it was revealed that he had tendered his resignation. The resignation came at the end of December 2021, and although it followed the normal Vatican procedure, where heads of Vatican offices are expected to submit their resignations after a 5-year term, it still raised a number of questions. People began to ask why a man who had been so trusted, and who was working on issues so closely tied to Pope Francis's mission, would choose to step down. According to official sources within the Vatican, Cardinal Turkson's resignation was part of the routine review process. In this process, leaders of dicasteries and other Vatican departments submit their resignations, and then the Pope decides whether to accept them or ask the individual to continue. In this case, Pope Francis accepted Cardinal Turkson's resignation, which led to further speculation about the reasons behind the decision. Although the Vatican did not publicly state any specific problems, there were several reports and comments from people familiar with the situation. Some said that there had been internal difficulties within the dicastery. Because this office had been created by combining 4 different departments into one, it had become quite large and complex. It might have been quite difficult to handle everything, and some accounts indicated that there had been conflicts or tensions among the staff. Other sources noted that it was occasionally difficult to coordinate activities or clearly define positions because the dicastery's activity occasionally overlapped with those of other Vatican offices. Cardinal Turkson may have had to deal with more work as a result of miscommunications, delays, or even altercations. Some analysts speculated that his resignation may have been influenced by these difficulties. Despite these claims, Cardinal Turkson himself made no negative public statements. He made no complaints or criticized anyone. As was to be expected, he quietly and respectfully submitted his resignation. Some were even more admiring of him as a result of his quiet on the subject, which they interpreted as an indication of his humility, dignity, and devotion to the Church. It's also critical to remember that Cardinal Turkson held many of the same opinions as Pope Francis. Both men had spoken out many times about the importance of caring for the earth, helping the poor, and fighting for justice in the world. Because of this, it seemed unusual that a cardinal so closely aligned with the Pope's message would leave his position so suddenly. After stepping down, Cardinal Turkson continued to serve the Church in other ways. He did not retire completely. In fact, he was later appointed as the Chancellor of the Pontifical Academies of Sciences and Social Sciences, a role that still allows him to contribute his ideas and leadership to important discussions within the Church and the global community. In the end, Cardinal Peter Turkson was still a highly valued person, even though his leaving might have raised questions and talks. His image was not damaged by his choice to quit. Instead, it served as a message to many that Church leadership can be hard, and that even great leaders sometimes need to take a break, think, and start over. How did Peter Codwo Apia Turkson's growth and rise through the Catholic Church prepare him for his effect on social justice and world peace? To find out, keep watching. On October 11, 1948, Peter Codwo Apia Turkson was born in the western Ghanaian village of Nsudawasa. With the title of cardinal and a number of important positions, he is a highly recognized figure in the Roman Catholic Church. Turkson has made significant contributions to the Church and the world, particularly in fields like human development, social justice, and peacemaking. He is seen by many as a possible candidate for the papacy, a position that would be revolutionary for the Catholic Church, and his life and career have been full of significant events. Turkson was raised in a household that was a distinctive mashup of religious traditions. His mother was a Methodist, and his father was a Catholic. This mixed religious upbringing likely shaped his later work in promoting peace and cooperation between different faiths. He was the fourth child in a family of 10 siblings, which must have created a busy and lively household. His mother worked selling vegetables in the market, while his father worked as a carpenter. One of his paternal uncles was even a Muslim, which again shows the diversity of faiths and beliefs within his family. These different religious backgrounds would likely influence his views on unity and peace as he grew older. As a young man, Turkson pursued education at St. Teresa's Minor Seminary in Amasano and St. Peter's Regional Seminary in Pedu, both in Cape Coast, Ghana. After completing his studies in Ghana, he went on to study at St. Anthony-on-Hudson Seminary in Rensselaer, New York. There, he earned a Master of Arts in Theology and a Master of Divinity. These academic achievements were only the beginning of his long and successful career in the Church. In 1980, he also received a licentiate in Sacred Scripture from the Pontifical Biblical Institute in Rome. This in-depth study of sacred texts was an important part of his education and helped him become a knowledgeable and respected theologian. Turkson was ordained as a priest on July 20, 1975, by Archbishop John Codwo Amisa. After his ordination, he worked in various pastoral roles and continued his education. In 1981, he became vice director at St. Peter's Seminary in Ghana, where he also did pastoral work in a nearby parish. In 1992, his life took another significant turn when Pope John Paul II appointed him as Archbishop of Cape Coast, Ghana. He received his episcopal consecration, which is a special ceremony marking his appointment, on March 27, 1993. This was an important moment in his life, as he took on the responsibility of leading a large Catholic community. As Archbishop, Turkson continued to serve the Ghanaian Church with dedication. He was named president of the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference from 1997 to 2005 and became Chancellor of the Catholic University College of Ghana in 2003. In 2003, Pope John Paul II honored his work by creating him a cardinal priest, a position that marked him as one of the most important leaders within the Church. This also made him the first Ghanaian cardinal, a significant achievement. As a cardinal, Turkson participated in the papal conclaves of 2005 and 2013, both of which elected new popes. He was part of the group of cardinals who elected Pope Benedict in 2005 and Pope Francis in 2013. Given Peter Turkson's significant roles within the Vatican and his work on social justice, how did his involvement in global diplomatic efforts and his views on economic reforms shape his legacy? Let us delve deeper. Pope Benedict gave Turkson an important role in 2009 as president of the Pontiff Council for Justice and Peace. In this role, Turkson was in charge of settling issues of social justice and peace inside the Church. He worked to sort out issues like economic problems, building peace, and human rights. Turkson was also a part of a lot of important Vatican councils and gatherings, such as the Gathering for the Evangelization of Peoples, the Congregation for Divine Worship, and the Congregation for Catholic Education. These roles allowed him to have a high control of the direction of the Church's teachings and actions on a world level. Turkson's power was not only inside the Vatican. In 2011, Pope Benedict sent him to Ivory Coast, where he worked as a peacemaker in the country's civil battle. The issue was a result of political interest between Laurent Gbagbo and Alassane Ouattara, who had both claimed victory in the presidential election. Despite international condemnation of Gbagbo's refusal to step down, the situation was escalating, and atrocities were being committed by both sides. Turkson worked tirelessly to contribute to finding a peaceful, non-military solution to the crisis. His diplomatic efforts highlighted his ability to navigate difficult situations and promote peace in the face of great challenges. Turkson's effect went beyond growing peace. He gave a powerful speech about the world economic crisis and asked for changes to the way financial sectors worked. He maintained that change was important to the growth of economic structure, which always supports the wealthy at the cost of others. He gave the idea to make sure that financial activities were charged equally and also the creation of an international public body to manage financial institutions. His opinion against unequal economic policies and the idolatry of the market shows his worry for the well-being of the poor worldwide. In 2017, Pope Francis chose Turkson as the prefect of the newly created dicastery for the growth of integral human development, a role that also made his position as a leading voice in the Church's work on human development solid. This new office was created to focus on a lot of issues, such as poverty, migration, environmental protection, and human rights. In this regard, Turkson continued to speak for a more just and kind world, with an emphasis on equality between rich and poor nations. At the time, with Pope Francis aging and facing health challenges, attention has turned to potential heir. Turkson's name has always come up in talks about the future of the papacy. Many believe that his background and leadership would make him a strong fit for the position. If elected, he would become the first African pope in history, a rare event that would be celebrated by many around the world. His election would show a change in the leadership of the Catholic Church, bringing new views and ideas to the role of pope. The chances of Turkson becoming pope is exciting not just for Ghana but for the world church. His long career, filled with loyalty to social justice, peace, and human development, makes him a right heir to lead the Catholic Church into a new era. His election to the papacy would be a game changer, especially for Africa, where many Catholics view him as a figure of hope and growth. Turkson's life has been marked by his loyalty to the Church and his support to making the world a better place. His journey from a young man in Ghana to a cardinal in the Vatican reflects a deep faith and a passion for justice. If he were to become pope, his leadership would undoubtedly bring about important changes and inspire many people around the world to work for peace, justice, and solidarity. As the world grapples with shifting powers and pressing global issues, could the Catholic Church itself be on the edge of a historic transformation? To learn more, keep watching. After the sad and quiet passing of Pope Francis, who died at the age of 88, many people around the world have been thinking deeply about what might come next. The news has left a heavy feeling in the hearts of millions of Catholics everywhere. It has also started many quiet talks and thoughtful whispers, especially in the halls of the Vatican, where decisions about the future of the Church are made. People are now starting to wonder, and wonder deeply, about who might become the next leader of the Catholic Church. It is a time filled with both mourning and uncertainty. But also, in some places, it is filled with a little bit of quiet hope. Pope Francis, during the last part of his life, had been dealing with many different health problems. His body had grown weaker over time, and he had been struggling with illnesses, especially serious breathing problems. He had suffered from pneumonia more than once, and that had made things even harder for him. In the end, it was confirmed that he died from a stroke, and his heart and circulation gave out completely. It was something doctors called an irreversible cardiocirculatory arrest. The pain of this news has touched people all over the world. But in Africa, the feeling of sadness is very deep, and it also comes with something else, an emotional waiting and watching. Across the vast and wide continent of Africa, where many different cultures and people live, Catholics have been gathering quietly in their churches. They have been lighting candles, offering soft prayers, and remembering Pope Francis with great respect. Many feel close to him, not just because he was Pope, but because he had shown kindness to Africa in ways that others had not. Africa is home to nearly 272 million Catholics. That is a very large number, almost 1 out of every 5 Catholics in the whole world lives in Africa. But even with so many faithful people on the continent, the Catholic Church has, for hundreds of years, always chosen its leaders from Europe. That has been the tradition for a long, long time. But Pope Francis tried to change some of that. He looked at the world differently. He believed the church should speak to everyone, not just one place. He wanted to include more people, especially those in the global south. That includes countries in Africa, South America, and other parts of the world that often do not get heard. Pope Francis made a real effort to bring African voices into the center of the church. He chose more African cardinals than past popes had done. He often reminded others in the Vatican that the church must care about and listen to places that had long been left out. Now that he has passed away, there is a strong feeling of sorrow across Africa. But there is also a slow and steady hope growing. Some are beginning to ask a powerful question: could this be the moment when, for the first time in history, a black African man becomes pope? It has never happened in modern times. But now, people are wondering if the time has come. With Cardinal Peter Turkson emerging as a strong candidate, how might the legacy of Pope Francis influence the final decision in choosing the next leader of the Catholic Church? One name that is being spoken of quietly but with great interest is Cardinal Peter Turkson from Ghana. He is being looked at very closely. Many think he could be a serious choice to become the next pope. If that happened, it would be a huge moment, not just for Africa, but for the entire Catholic world. He would be the very first black pope in modern history, and only the second African ever to lead the church since ancient times. Peter Turkson is not a new voice in the Vatican. He has been rising slowly and steadily over the years. He is well known for speaking out strongly on important and weighty topics including poverty, climate change, and social justice. When others remained silent, he took the initiative to speak. He adheres to the Church's traditional beliefs, which have persisted for generations. However, he also pays attention to the outside world and recognizes that things change. He has a reputation for being receptive to novel discussions, even when they are challenging. Turkson, for instance, has advocated against the discriminatory legislation that harms members of the LGBTQ population in certain African nations. That was not easy to do, especially in places where such topics are not welcomed. But he spoke anyway, because he believed it was right. That made many people see him not just as a church leader, but also as a man with courage and compassion. There was also a time when South Sudan was going through a lot of violence and conflict. It was a country in pain, with people suffering deeply. Pope Francis needed someone wise and careful to go there, to help guide, speak, and listen. He chose Cardinal Turkson. That showed how much the Pope trusted him. Turkson went, not just as a representative of the Vatican, but as someone who could bring both spiritual strength and peaceful diplomacy. People saw in him both a religious man and a skilled peacemaker. But Turkson is not the only African being talked about right now. There is also Cardinal Fridolin Ambongo Bisungu from the Democratic Republic of Congo. He is 65 years old and is also highly respected. He leads a large number of Catholics, around 7 million people, in his home country. Many people look up to him, listen to his voice, and respect the way he leads with strength and kindness. His name is also being whispered as a possible successor to Pope Francis. If either of these men were chosen, it would mean something very big to the people of Africa. It would be about more than religion. It would be about being seen. It would be about finally being recognized, after so many years of being overlooked. It would show the world that Africa matters. It would say that the church is truly for everyone. Right now, all across Africa, in big cities and small villages, in stone cathedrals and simple chapels, candles are still burning. The prayers are soft but full of feeling. The mourning for Pope Francis is real and deep. But behind that sadness, there is also hope. A quiet hope, a hope that the next pope might be someone who comes from Africa, someone who looks like them, speaks like them, and understands their lives. Do you think Cardinal Peter Turkson is a right fit as the next pope? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you for watching this video. We hope you found it interesting. Do not forget to like and subscribe. Click the next video shown on your screen to catch up on your favorite celebrity stories. See you there.